What's up, everybody? It's Gomlet back again to talk about more War of the Sparks spoilers. Today we'll be talking about my top 5 favorite picks out of April 1st and April 2nd spoilers. Anyways, let's go ahead and start off the video. So, number 5, we're going to start with the Gleaming Overseer. 1 a blue and a black for a 1/4 zombie wizard. When it enters the battlefield, amass 1. Zombie tokens you control have hexproof and menace. I am primarily a limited and commander player, and this seems like a limited all-star. I absolutely love build around and draft around mechanics for limited, so I'm already pretty excited about amass. I was a little bit skeptical because putting all of your eggs into one basket, making one gigantic zombie army, could go really poorly for you just because you're putting a bunch of different stuff into this one card that your opponent could take out with a single removal spell. Gleaming Overseer gets around that very well. It gives your zombie army hexproof, so they can't just target it with removal, and it also gives it menace, which just gets rid of the 2 biggest weaknesses for amass-style decks, which is they can be chump blocked really easily, and a single removal spell really stops your game plan. So now with this Gleaming Overseer here, I think this is going to be a very high pick for decks that are trying to start amassing a zombie army. At number 4, we have Horde Butcher, a black and a red for a 1/1 zombie warrior. It has haste, and whenever Horde Butcher deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, put a +1/+1 counter on Horde Butcher. Whenever it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. This card has the potential to be really good in Standard. It also has the potential to be really bad. This is one of those cards that's really good on the play and just really quite a bit weaker on the draw. Because on the play, being able to play this on turn 2 when your opponent only has 1 mana out, you get that 1 damage in, it's immediately a 2/2 that does 2 to something when it dies. That just seems pretty sweet to me. And even if your opponent has played a 1/1 like a Llanowar Elves or a Siren Stormtamer or something like that, usually, you're going to be fine trading it off and just doing 1 damage to their face anyway, so I could definitely see this in black-red aggressive decks, black-red burn-style decks in Standard, so I'm very excited to play with this card on Arena. At number 3, we have Kiora, Behemoth Beckoner, 2 and a hybrid green or blue for a 7 loyalty Kiora Planeswalker. Whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card and -1 untap target permanent. This is another one that is a major draft around card that I'm very excited to see. I really like cards like Colossal Majesty and Garruk's Pack Leader as draft around kind of just make a real big stompy green deck cards. And Kiora fits in with those kinds of draft rounds really well. What I like most about her is that both of her abilities actually work deceptively well together. She starts with 7 loyalty off of a 3-mana planeswalker, so it's very unlikely that she's going to just die immediately. She'll be there for a little while. And if you're playing creatures with power 4 or greater, you're probably going to have some real big blockers if they're trying to kill her off, so I think that she's pretty sturdy. And the -1 is perfect for the kind of deck that wants to play a bunch of really big creatures, just creatures with power 4 or greater, because she gives you an additional land every turn. At the very worst, you can just untap a basic land with her -1 ability, and it's got a bunch of other options. You could untap one of your big creatures to basically give it vigilance for the turn, just untap it after you attacked with it. If you manage to get a land that taps for 2 mana, if you enchanted it with something that makes it tap for an additional mana, you get even more mana out of Kiora. And, you know, maybe randomly you have some kind of artifact ability that you want to use twice that you get out of tapping it. So I think Kiora is a very cool card, definitely a fun build around for draft. And, yeah, pretty excited about her as well. At number 2, we have Karns Bastion. It is a land that taps to add a colorless, or you can spend 4 and tap it to proliferate. Very excited to see Proliferate is back. Obviously a very popular strategy or just mechanic in general for commander players. and that's really what this card is best at. Utility lands are always great in Commander. It is always awesome to get some kind of effect out of your lands, so you don't have to use one of your main deck slots. You can just get rid of one of your random basics and throw something good in there. And Proliferate's a really, really good ability to just toss onto a utility land like this. I'm very excited about this card. I know this is going to be insanely popular because I already know of a lot of people that at least I've played with that were main decking Contagion Clasp just as a way to get that Proliferate trigger in there. And this basically lets you run a Contagion Clasp in your deck without costing a deck slot. You just take out a basic. So I think this card is very cool and super excited to play around with this in Commander. It's also interesting enough for Standard because we have Wilderness Reclamation. I think if it weren't for Wilderness Reclamation existing, I wouldn't really consider this for Standard because it's a whole lot of ability, a whole lot of mana for that ability, but I could definitely see some kind of Wilderness Reclamation Super Friends style deck that could use this just to get a bunch more counters on their Planeswalkers. Could be a pretty sick card. Don't know if it's going to be top tier competitive, but it's something interesting to try out at the very least. So last but not least, at number 1, last but best, I should say, is the Wanderer. 3 and a white for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker, period. There's no name on the Planeswalker. There's no subtext, no subtype, I should say. Prevent all non-combat damage that would be dealt to you and other permanents you control, and -2, exile target creature with power 4 or greater. So the card itself, in terms of power level, is not very good. It's very specific at what it does, basically just being good against decks playing Kiora. There's a lot of decks it's just not going to work against in Standard for sure, and in Limited probably a decent amount of the time it just won't have any targets either. So it's not actually that great of a card, but the coolest thing about this card by far is the artwork and the flavor, just the character it's based off in general. So rumors are it's going to be a brand new character. That's what it seems like. A bunch of people are loving to put their little speculations in there as to who this character is. But we do have a little bit of information about the character that was sent to Tolarian Community College for his video revealing the card, and it's tremendously cool. So I'm just going to play that right now, and I will go ahead and put a link to his video in the description if you want to check that out, because it is a pretty nice video. If you don't know the professor by now, definitely check him out.
So who is the Wanderer? Nobody knows where she came from or her real name. What they do know is that the Wanderer is one of the most efficient and most deadly warriors they've seen on any plane. With the magical ability to absorb kinetic energy and redirect it through her massive sword, when facing the Wanderer, it's very true, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Able to down the largest foes with a single stroke, the Wanderer is also cursed to make an effort not to planeswalk. Unlike most planeswalkers who are tired by the process of planeswalking, the Wanderer can planeswalk and then planeswalk again almost immediately, but only because if she doesn't focus, she will be pulled at random from plane to plane. How she came to be this way and if her spark is different from all others may be at the heart of her endless journey through the multiverse and her desire to hide her identity. Whether she seeks a person, place, or thing remains to be seen, but a peaceful resolution to her never-ending quest seems unlikely.
So yeah, that's the Wanderer's incredible backstory. Very cool character. Very interested to see more of them and hear more about them. And really just figure out where they're from, just any kind of info. That might ruin the mystery, though. The mystery's kind of the coolest part. It's a really, really cool idea to just keep the subtype off of this Planeswalker card to make a point flavorfully. I think that's a very smart decision from Wizards. It would have been so easy to just, oh, Planeswalkers always have a subtype. This is Legendary Planeswalker-Wanderer or something like that. The fact that they left it completely off is a really cool design decision, even though it doesn't affect the game at all. It just gives us so much flavor right there of just nobody knows. They're just a wanderer. So with that, that's going to end my top 5 cards for these last couple days of spoilers. What were your top 5? Go ahead and tell me in the comments. Definitely would like to hear from you guys. I only got 1 comment last time, but it was a cool list, and I was happy to check it out. So anyways, I'll see you all tomorrow with some more Magic the Gathering related content. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you very soon.